Deep down the left sideline, he wants one. He's got it! Touchdown, Miami! There's a new cheetah in town.
Football Fridays are on your official home for Miami Dolphins football. Will Althoff and Luis Diaz are talking Fins.
That's right, Football Fridays. We are back here on Fox Sports 940. I'm Will Althoff. That is Luis Diaz. We got a packed show today, Luis.
Oh, man, it's going to be a good one.
This is the third show. What did I tell you when we started doing this? I was like, third show. We can get loose, third show. I feel like...
Save all your fireable comments for the third show is what you said.
I think we're getting there. The looseness. We got plenty to talk about today. Coming up in a little bit, 5:15, we've got the guys from the Fish Tank, Seth Levitt and O.J. McDuffie. They've got a great documentary that is premiering on the Miami Dolphins YouTube channel on Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. It is the Fish Tank Iconic, The Comeback, and it is focused on the Dan Marino comeback from his Achilles injury in 1993, his first game back in 1994, and a very cool bit of, we've only seen bits and pieces of it so far, but the production and the documentary itself looks amazing.
It looks epic. It looks fantastic. It looks, ready for this? Iconic. No, it does look iconic. It looks really cool, man. And I love the way they explained it. Is like they've done, and it's not low budget, but a podcast isn't exactly a 30 for 30.
Right.
And when they were tasked with the idea of, hey, up what you guys are doing, you guys are telling great stories on the Fish Tank, make a huge splash. It looks like they did. I'm looking at the trailer on Twitter. It looks like they made it. It looks awesome.
They've talked to a ton of people for that documentary, and we're going to talk to those guys 5:15 to hear what went into making it. O.J. McDuffie was part of that team there. He was there for that game. Plenty of cool stuff to talk about with those guys. 4:45, we're going to talk to our Fantasy Fix expert. It is Brandon Kravitz, and believe it or not, he's not one of these guys who likes to do the mock drafts after he's already drafted. Can you believe that? I could do mock drafts all year long.
Really?
Yeah, I could do them tomorrow. I could do them in February. I could do them in any day of the week. I'll run a couple of mock drafts.
Brother, I dread the real drafts.
Really?
I hate
so
drafting.
much fun.
And I'm too proud to auto pick.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't shameable to auto, if it wasn't like you cast shame on your family if you auto, I would do it. I love it. I hate it. It's so much pressure. And then at the end of the draft, you look at the projected AI rankings, and I'm always 9th out of 10 teams. And it's great. Now, as if I didn't feel bad, and I got to lose weight, and I got to get better at fantasy.
Please. You won 2 championships last year.
2 championships, baby.
Right?
And I was projected to be 9th in both.
There you go.
Love that.
I could do snake drafts all day. I think part of it, too, is because there's no real value in it. It's just like playing a video game.
It really is. It really is. Yeah.
And then you just look at the roster, you're like, man, this team's cool. Let's see how they do this year. And then you totally forget about it.
But I know this is a big weekend because it's that last weekend before we waited out the preseason for any unfortunate injuries. I've got 3 drafts this weekend.
Wow. Okay.
3.
Waited.
2 on Sunday, 1 on Monday. And those are I'm not even going to pay attention to one of them, if I'm going to be 100% honest.
Are you going to labor over these fantasy drafts on Monday? You see what I did there?
Oh, labor. Okay. All right, brother. Dude,
I'm
that's
trying.
What they pay you, the big bucks.
Doesn't work. You're the funny guy.
But it worked. It worked.
That was a dad joke, if anything.
I love it.
It's a big, so anyway, Fantasy Fix, that's coming up 4:45 with Brandon Kravitz. It's a big college football weekend. We're going to talk about that coming up. Obviously, the Hurricanes are in Gainesville to take on UF tomorrow. Number 1 overall, Georgia, they're hosting Clemson. My Penn State Nittany Lions taking on West Virginia. So there's a lot of games coming up this weekend. We'll talk a little bit. Did you watch any of that game last night, the North Dakota State-Colorado game?
No.
Oh, man.
I didn't watch a second.
We'll talk about it coming up. I thought that was an amazing game. We're going to hear from Tua. We're going to hear from Mike McDaniel. We're going to hear from GM Chris Greer and a whole bunch more here on Fantasy Fridays today.
Hey, the Golden Panthers also play tomorrow.
Do they play?
Yeah.
Who are they playing?
Indiana.
That's
going to be
a team.
That is a team. They do have a team.
Is that a home game or are they on the road for that one?
Does it matter? We don't carry the Panthers, do we?
No, we don't carry the Panthers.
Yeah, so no, it doesn't matter. It's in Indiana, as opposed to the 13 of us down at Pitbull Stadium.
Well, at least you don't have to go up to Indiana. Pitbull Stadium, Dale. At least you don't have to go up to Indiana in the cold, right?
Brother,
it's got to be pretty nice weather
cold,
out there at this
hot.
moment.
It's FIU.
Right.
Why not us? Why? Because you're not good. You made Jonnu Smith, and that's it.
Hey, man, waiting to see what Jonnu does this year.
Brother, I'm a believer. I couldn't leave her if I tried.
Dropping Monkeys lyrics now?
To me, that's the song from Shrek.
There was big news today, though. Mike McDaniel, head coach of the Miami Dolphins, signing that extension. They're going to keep him here through 2028, at least on paper. I mean, obviously.
I don't know what's Stephen Ross's crystal ball is saying about the year 20, but everyone is signed through exactly 2028.
Yeah.
So if we don't win it by, maybe his tarot card was like, hey, if it's not happening by 2028,
and it's
done.
interesting, too, because this offseason, they just paid everybody.
Everybody. And everyone pretty much through 2028.
Right.
Specifically.
So, yeah, what's that about?
I'm telling you, Stephen Ross got a tarot card reading done, and it was like, hey, 2028.
2028, that's, the second of the back-to-back Super Bowls, potentially.
Yes.
Wants to go out on the high note.
Well, wait, no, bro. That's the fourth of the 4 straight.
I wasn't trying to go crazy. I was going to say they'll win 3 and 4 years.
That's what the preseason is for, though, right? For all the craziness.
That's true. Yeah,
and then 4 plays into New York Jets season, their craziness is done.
It's over. It's all the hope. We're going to win it all. I can feel it this year, right?
Yeah, like my Golden Panthers are going to beat Indiana next week or this Saturday.
I believe that.
You do?
Yes.
I don't.
Why not?
Because Panthers don't. Our cheer is this: Panthers fight, Panthers fight, Panthers fight, and we do some stupid stuff with our hands. But no one fights. Nobody fights. There's no fight.
When's the last time you heard anything about Indiana football?
When's the last thing I heard about Indiana, brother?
Right?
I'm going to say none.
Yeah.
So, I don't hear about that state.
Yeah, I think that they got a shot. Why not?
I like to, sometimes when I feel bad about myself, I like to think about that. There's people who on purpose live in Indiana and Iowa. Like that's they chose to live there.
Right.
I'm like, life's not so bad down here.
They'll take the good football. Whatever they can get.
Whatever they can get.
I think it's interesting, though, that they are getting these guys all together long term. In the 3rd year, they're not even waiting until the end of this season to see how the production is. They're saying, all you guys, we believe this is the team. We want to keep you guys together as long as we can, so we're going to keep signing everybody that we can.
I'll tell you what's getting me a little nervous and I love the offense. I'm a big, that's what I played when I played ball. That's what I watched. That's what I know. But we've signed everyone involved with the offensive side of the ball, and we've still got some cap room, and we haven't re-signed any of these young studs that we've got on defense. The 2 I'm thinking are obviously Jalen and Javon.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, we got the offense, we're good, but we still got like $30 million in cap. Either bring me a guard or let's just lock them up, you know?
It would be smart, obviously, to lock all those guys down. But, at this point in the season, can you just keep signing all these guys as the year is going on? I was very surprised by the McDaniel extension today just because you feel like they do all of these things in the offseason.
Yeah.
They don't want any of these things to distract the guys while they're playing or whatever it might be. You hear about these guys. They don't want to have these contract discussions during the season. They just want to play. So you got to imagine that maybe they'll sign some more guys come the offseason. But again, McDaniel came out of the blue today.
As far as new players, I can't expect anyone signing, especially with how difficult this offense is to learn and our defense being brand new. Everyone's still trying to get a grasp on it. So maybe we can sign someone there because it's like, you know what, no one's that far ahead of you.
Right.
But you look at all the signings that are being done, they're all people being in-house. It's Mike McDaniel, who's already here, CeeDee Lamb, who's already in Dallas, Ayuk, who is already in San Fran. We're not – the days of splash acquisitions are over, which kind of makes everyone on Twitter sad because they wanted a big name for the O-line. Even if we got a big name for the O-line, unless he is from San Francisco or Green Bay or I guess L.A. that Sean McVay coached with, unless he's from one of those 3 teams – it's not going to do us any better than what we've got right now.
Yeah.
And so, if we're not going to be wasting our money and we're going to use it wisely on people we have in-house, we've got the money. Spend it on Javon and Jalen. That's all I'm asking. Phillips, because I know there's 38 Jalens on the team. Phillips,
man, I cannot wait to see how he comes back from this Achilles injury. He's looked great in practice. Obviously, he hasn't had any game time in the preseason, but really looking forward to – and, he's one of those guys that you can feel it from him. He just wants to get out there and go. He is ready. He's not going to let anybody hold him back week 1. He wants to go.
You get into a car accident, you're nervous to get behind the wheel again, especially if it's your first one, if it's a big one. My first car accident was I totaled a car. It was on my parents' anniversary, too. I'm such a good son.
Happy anniversary.
Hey, you had dinner plans? How are you going to get there? Dad, I crashed your car.
Oof.
And you're nervous to get behind the wheel again. He doesn't sound nervous. They were asking him about the snap count that he's on, and he's like, yeah, I'm on a snap count. I don't want to be. He's ready to go full tilt. This guy's got a different mentality. When he retired in Cal, came to Miami, his mind has just been so, I love this game. Remember when Jameis Winston came out and was like, I thought I loved football, but I really love playing football.
Right.
That's what Jalen Phillips is. Miami's version of Jameis.
I saw it was like one of the first practices that they had this offseason, and Jalen was running on the sidelines, and he specifically pointed out a couple of reporters to say, hey, nice. You guys see me running? You see me out here? Like, he was ready to go from the jump, and I am excited for him to see what he can do when they get back there on the field on September 8th. That is Luis Diaz. I am Will Althoff. Coming up on the other side, we're going to hear from quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. He's going to talk a little bit about the cuts that happened this week, specifically talking in the quarterback room because one of those guys got let go, but he had good things to say about each of those guys. We're going to hear that coming up next here on Fox Sports 940.
It's a bittersweet deal just because of the relationships you build with some of the rookies, and then a lot of the guys who have been vets but who have been going from team to team. It's bittersweet just because of the relationships you have with those guys. But they also understand it's a business. They understand how this thing works, and we wish them the best. This is the whole reason as to why we have preseason, so guys can put their film on tape, and hopefully another team can pick them up, and they can go ball for that team.
How confident and how loose does Tua feel, man?
One thing I love about him is, one, to answer your question, yeah, he's just a man.
He's feeling it, man.
He's just a man, and he knows it.
Yes.
That's my favorite thing. Number two, I've never been in an NFL meeting room. I've never understood the dynamics of it. I didn't realize when you're the starting quarterback, you could just tell your underlings, hey, go look at third downs.
He's like
tell
their
me
half
what you
manager,
find.
right?
Go look at red zone. Tell me what you find. Come back to me with your results. Like, I didn't realize that was it.
And it's funny, too, he mentions the plays. Juice has mentioned that there's like a 22-word play that they run, or they have in the past. Like, yeah, anything you can do to tighten that up to make it a little easier to talk about in the huddle and get across to all the players, like, it makes sense. But he just seems like he feels comfortable in his role this year, telling those guys, hey, I need your help with this, I need your help with that. And these guys, they're all just all responding. It seems like they're such a tight-knit group, and it's just like this. It just feels right.
Look, and this is just a comparison. In no way am I calling NFL players dogs, but when my wife tells my dog, gives her a command, says, Belle, sit down. Belle, go home. Belle, do something. I've heard my wife say it in as authoritative a way as possible as she can. The dog never listens because when my wife tries to be serious, she just sounds so cute. I love her. She's a great wife. She's so cute. She knows the game of football, but she's not authoritative. So that's why when I come in, I'm like, Belle, sit. Belle, heel, whatever it is. She listens. There's a certain vibe that people of authority can give off, and that's what I feel like we're getting from Tua. It's because of this confidence, because of this command that he has with the team, this place of respect he holds in the building. He can just tell people what to do now, and because of the way that he sees himself. He views it. He believes it. He is the leader of this team. People are just going to be like, yeah, third downs, boss? Okay, do you want on this side of the 50? On that? You go on both sides of the 50? Okay, all right, boss, I'm on it. And people just listen.
Yeah. I was listening to Mike McDaniel yesterday, and he was talking about how Tua feels he's the highest paid employee of the organization, and he wants to prove his worth in that sense.
Yeah.
So he is doing what he can. McDaniel said he's first in, last out now. Like, he is that guy who is like the hardest working guy in the building now to prove, hey, I'm worth it. I'm the guy for this team. I am taking on these leadership roles. I'm making everybody, feel more comfortable, whatever it might be. But the coaches, the players, everybody says the same thing. He is just like, he is owning it this season.
I have 100% faith in Tua. That's something I had last year. But it's kind of like how they say you don't know real happiness until you have a kid. Like my 100% of happiness before I had a kid is nothing in compared to my 100% of happiness now. And my faith in him has grown as I've seen him get paid, as I've seen him carry himself now as the true leader of this team. I'll tell you what I'm worried about is the new Bills backup quarterback, Mike White.
Yes.
And that he's there and not here. I know he had that Linsanity run in New York. He came onto the scene as soon as Hard Rock Bet came onto the scene, and I'm not going to say what I did or didn't do, but I did make money, and I do appreciate Mike White for some of the income that I made that year, and I really loved him as a Dolphin, especially the story. I love when local kids play for the Dolphins. It's the best, and I don't. The team is confident in Tim Boyle, which means I'm confident. I mean, they know more than I do, but what I've seen from Tim Boyle is not – he didn't have a Linsanity run like Mike White did. He got a 109-yard pick six on him, courtesy of the guy playing opposite of him, Javon Holland.
And the other side of that, Mike White goes and joins the Bills practice squad Thursday, September 12th.
Yeah.
Dolphins-Bills.
Yeah.
You know, what a coincidence that this guy gets signed to the practice squad when they've got a game 2 weeks from yesterday. You know?
Dude.
So it's a little,
and it's,
what are we doing here?
It's Sean McDermott saying, hey, Mike, nice to see you.
Yeah.
Read on Twitter a bunch of stuff about Jonnu Smith. And Mike White says, you're paying my checks now? Here you go.
Here's what I know.
Here you go. Right here's the playbook, sir.
Ryan?
It's but then again, they cut him for a reason, maybe because he doesn't know the playbook very well. So I mean,
and in the end, look, it's a business. Everybody knows how this goes.
Yeah.
You know, it's happened previously. Guys get signed, and they hope they bring their knowledge, to the team or whatever it might be. But in the end, like, this team's got to beat the Bills no matter who is the practice squad quarterback.
My high school coach he was a very proud man, and I loved playing for. Shout out Ferguson. Did we ever have a winning record? No. But we loved, no, I'm kidding. We did. We were actually district champs. We were a good team, but we weren't, the big dogs of Dade County, and we were barely the big dogs of our district. We weren't a well-known team. But my coach was one of those proud guys that he's like, look, we will run the same power right till we score. And it's like, dude, we're at the back 20. We've got 80 yards to go. And he goes, we're not punting the ball. We don't have a punter.
It's going to keep going.
You guys are going to run Black Mustang until you score. Black was to the right, and Mustang was our power. Black Mustang till you score, and that's what we did. And so that's kind of the cool thing about these Dolphins is you can show Sean McDermott, hey, this is what they're doing with Jonnu Smith. It's their job to stop it.
You got to stop it, right?
And with the way Mike McDaniel covers everything up, same exact motion, 5 different outcomes. 5 different people can have the ball with the same motion, same formation, and everything. It's still a chess match. I don't care that he's gone to the Bills. I care that he's gone because I liked him.
Yeah.
But I don't care the intellect thing of here's our playbook, Shawnee. Let's see what we can do against the Dolphins. No,
hey, check it out. I got a big photocopied playbook here. You guys want it?
I got a whole fat head that you can put on the wall.
There you
it's
go.
the playbook.
Luis Diaz, across the table from me. I'm Will Althoff. We are here until 6 o'clock. Football Fridays. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the college weekend ahead. Who are you going to bring to the tailgate? We're going to find out, and you can chime in as well here on Fox Sports 940. Football Fridays, Fox Sports 940. I'm Will Althoff. That's Luis Diaz. If you want to get in touch with us, 866-801-0940. I couldn't remember the number there for a second, but I remembered it. 866-801-0940. Or you can always hit us up on the talkback button on the iHeartRadio app. There's a little microphone. You can record a 30-second message there, and it will get sent to us. And then if we decide you're worthy enough, we can play
it on the air.
Or not play it. They transcribe it, too. We can just, read them.
I was going to say, it depends on how much we got to edit it. And
yeah. Or we could just read the transcripts and act them out.
Oh, that would be cool. Dude, bring back my thespian days,
right?
bro.
It'd be amazing. So, big college weekend on tap. We were just talking about it off the air about FSU. They're playing on Monday night. They're going to play BC. That is a Monday night game, 7:30. I think it's on ABC. That's the big game because there's no Monday night football game. Okay. So they have a big college game happening that night, but
good for them.
The season's basically over, right? You lost last week. That's it.
That's last year when all the networks started crying because they all wanted that prime time
Start
New York
the season
Jets game
with a big one. Right.
They wanted that Aaron Rodgers week 10, week 14, whatever it was. They wanted all the so the Jets got all the prime, and then Aaron Rodgers left, and all the excitement went away. That's what's going down on Monday night. They're like, are you guys sure you still want to play FSU on Monday Night Football? It's like, we're stuck. We can't reschedule.
Right, and it's a Monday night randomly. Like, there's no other games that they can like flex into that position. Like, this is the game that they're stuck with, and it's like, all right, you've lost your first game of the season. It's a conference game against Georgia Tech. Like, you're not coming. It's going to be so difficult to come back from that. You can't say that they won't come back from it because who actually knows? But in the end, you lose a game, the season's basically done.
Remember when they were undefeated and didn't make the college playoffs?
Right.
Now you got 1L.
Right.
And your quarterback is DJ Huma Huma Nuka Nuka Apua'a. Whatever it is.
Just wild that's it. That's it.
That's it.
I
want to talk, brother. I want to talk. I know I know you can listen to the UF broadcast on this station. So let's talk the UF-UM game.
Pre-game coverage gets started here tomorrow on Fox Sports 940 at 12:30. Go ahead.
I want to talk because we always play the game. Who are you inviting to the tailgate?
Yes.
And I think this leads me in perfectly. Who am I? The first person I'm inviting to the tailgate this week, Cam Ward.
Nice.
Cam Ward, new transfer portal quarterback for the University of Miami Hurricanes, and he has brought so much hype. This is why I invite him to the tailgate, because if you invite him, you invite his entire posse.
There you go.
You know when you inviting some people, it's like, dude, I like, this is a sports station. You know when you're like, you don't invite him, he doesn't bring any girls to the party. Cam Ward brings all the girls to the party. He's bringing on, and you know what? And he's coming with a couple cases. This man comes with so much hype and promise. Off that alone, boom, you're invited to the tailgate.
Bringing them
100%.
to the tailgate. Did you watch any of the North Dakota State Colorado game last night?
No, I don't have cable. I'm one of those. I'm all stream all the time now, so I can't. I have to get it now for ESPN purposes and like watching all the games.
Yeah.
But no, man, I didn't watch any of it.
So it was a very entertaining game. Shadur Sanders was 26 of 34 for 445 yards, 4 touchdowns and a pick. Right? Amazing numbers. But Travis Hunter, the wide receiver, he had 7 catches, 132 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he played like 60 snaps on the defensive side of the ball. This guy is unbelievable. Dude does not rest. Second year for Colorado since transferring from Jackson State, playing on both sides of the ball. He just proves that he is he is the, I think I saw yesterday, he was the first player since 2000 to make 3 defensive stops and like catch 6 passes in a game. Playing on both sides of the ball, not things that people do a lot. Travis Hunter, he is coming to the tailgate.
Yes, dude. Okay, I like that.
I'm bringing that guy to the
he's
tailgate.
doing everything at the tailgate.
He doesn't stop working. He's going to work the whole time.
Pour some drinks, take the trash out.
He's working the crowd. He is constantly working. Travis Hunter, that dude is a machine. Great game last night. Bringing him to the tailgate. That's a great
addition to the tailgate. I love that. And man, I just want to talk about him for a quick second because how sustainable is it?
Right?
Like he's got one of his, because I know he's got massive NIL deals. One of them has to be an IV team that's just on the sideline every game.
I am worn out just watching the guy.
Is it because it's in Colorado and it's not 1,000 degrees? Like he couldn't do that playing for UM.
No.
He couldn't do that playing for
not in this
FIU.
heat. Forget it. No way.
Dude, all right. So now who am I? I want to invite another person to the tailgate.
Okay.
All right. We all loved what happened last Saturday. FSU getting obliterated by Georgia Tech. Mm-hmm. How do you play against Georgia Tech? You stop the run. They're a triple option team. That's how every team beat Ferguson, because we were a triple option team and we couldn't win because that's all we did. That was our identity. That's how you stop Georgia Tech. And FSU couldn't figure it out.
Brutal.
But it was still a close game, and someone needed to come into the clutch. When you run out of beers, you need someone to go in for that beer run. You need someone that you can trust, depend on. You need and what do you want? How do you want your beers? You want them cold.
Ice cold.
You want when you touch them, you want to say Burr. And that's why kicker from Georgia Tech, Aiden Burr, is who I'm inviting to the tailgate.
Yes.
Dude, that guy, when you need something, you don't call upon him for everything. Travis Hunter's getting everything done. But there's going to come a time where it's like, hey, Travis can't do that. He's in the middle of 2 other things right now. Who are you calling? I'm calling my dog Aiden Burr.
Cold-blooded.
Yes, bro. Oh,
Bring
my
him
God.
to the tailgate.
Bringing so much sadness to the FSU and their fans. I'll tell you, when I watch sports, my favorite thing is not when good things happen for my team and seeing my fans happy. It's when they pan to the sad other team and you see them sad. I think I said it on our first episode. When we were in the bubble, watching Jason Tatum's 2-year-old son sad,
right?
I got so much happiness out of it. Like, you child! You are a sad child, and I'm happy. When they pan to the grown adults in AT&T Stadium in their Cowboys jerseys, just crying on the girl's shoulder,
or like you see these guys all painted up for these games, and they're there for FSU in their gold and their maroon, and they're just out there, and then there's just the sadness on their face, and it's just devastation. It's amazing stuff.
A sad fan brings me happiness. A sad fan for my rival brings me elation. That's a word of the day.
I like that. There was another game last night, Bowling Green.
Okay.
They tore up Fordham, the Rams. 41-17 was the final.
You didn't really watch this game, right?
I didn't, but the opening kickoff, 100-yard return.
Okay.
Justin Pegues, bang, bring him to the tailgate.
All right.
You need somebody to run out, help with the beer run? He's going to be nice and quick. He's not going to get stopped. He's going to make it all the way. He's going to make it all the way back. And that guy, opening kickoff, you got to love that to start a game. See this guy run 100 yards and score a touchdown right off the bat, because then it's like, all right, so where is this game going to go?
Look, the Publix right by us closed. The only place we can get another case is the gas station very far away.
He's on it.
He says, got it. I just filled up my tank. I'm good.
It's 50 yards away. 50 yards there, 50 yards back.
Baby.
Bang, bring him to the tailgate. Justin Pegues. What a great run, though. Like, just seeing the highlight. I love seeing those kickoff returns, because it's one of those things you just don't see all the time.
And they're still doing the old school kickoff.
Right. And to see it to open the game is just like, yes.
I saw it online yesterday on Twitter. It's so funny because the NFL is like, we got to change everything because we're not getting enough kickoffs. And college is like, nah.
We're here. We'll doing it. We're going to keep going.
And a true 100-yard return. And he was like not shying away from people either.
Right.
He went straight to the pile. And I'm like, dude, go around.
And then he just bounced out and win. It was amazing.
Yes. Yeah, it was
Great
so
stuff.
weird. It was so weird, but it was awesome to see, bro. Man, we got to...
You got anybody else coming to the tailgate? I don't have anybody to not invite this week.
You don't?
I think it's because it's an off NFL week. After we play another game, I'm sure we didn't have a lot of game things this week. Plus, guys got cut. You feel bad. You don't want to not invite any of those guys to the tailgate.
It's not Mike White's fault that he went to the Bills.
Right, it happens.
It's not. Who am I not? You know who I'm not inviting to the tailgate? Whoever is on. Did you see the Arkansas game yesterday?
No, I didn't see any of it.
It was Arkansas. Well, of course not. No one did, because it was Arkansas versus Arkansas Pine Bluff. We love Arkansas Pine Bluff because that's where Teron Armstead came out of.
There it is.
But they lost 70-0.
Ouch.
That's like when UM plays Bethune-Cookman, which, by the way, were we talking about the off there or on the air? Like, what happened to starting? What happened to starting your college season with a cakewalk game? Last year, the Canes played Alabama to start off. Now they're playing another SEC, UF. Like, guys,
right?
Play
Go
FIU,
easy on yourself.
Play Bethune-Cookman, play Kaiser University. I don't care. Stop playing good teams.
That is Luis Diaz. I'm Will Althoff. We're here for Football Fridays, taking you up until 6 o'clock. Coming up, we got a couple of other things we want to talk about. That player survey, that NFL player survey. We got to talk about that.
Oh, my God. It's the one where it's overrated, underrated.
Yes, I love that.
It's so, yeah, we'll talk about it.
It's so dumb, but we got to talk about that coming up. Plus, there's a big event happening on Labor Day that I want to discuss. That's coming up next here on Fox Sports 940. Fox Sports 940, Football Fridays. I want to thank Dina Lang for the music beds. I happened to find them in the system, and I was like, wow, I'm going to play these. This is one of them.
This is fire. She chose this.
Yeah.
You chose this as a bit. She chose this on purpose.
I know. I'm just over here dancing. I love this.
It's a good one.
So we have a bunch of stuff that we want to talk about here, but there's an interesting story that Ricardo brought up that I didn't even know about, but you're aware of what's going on. So tell everybody what the deal is, Louis.
Shout out Ricardo producing our show. Thank you so much for bringing this up to my attention, because this is one story. You and I were both struggling to find someone to not invite to the tailgate when this one should have slapped me in the face, and it did with Ricardo's hand. The New York Giants
Yeah.
The first ever retired number in sports history. First ever in sports history was the New York Giants retiring the number 1. I don't know. I know the last name is Flaherty.
Ray Flaherty.
Ray Flaherty. I couldn't tell you anything about the guy, what he did to deserve it. I know it was the first ever retired number, and the Jets decided to come out, Mr. Mara himself, come out and unretire the number for Malik Neighbors. We're not talking Eli Manning. We're not talking OBJ coming back with the one-handed grab, 3-finger grab. We're not talking about any great Strahan. Give me a Giants great. We're talking about a rookie that you're unretiring the first ever retired number for. My guy. Oye, brother. What are you doing?
I am fascinated by this story. The guy's a Hall of Famer. I'm looking at it right now. Pro Football Hall of Fame, Ray Flaherty. Like, the fact that they would unretire a number, I mean, like you said, it's time. The guy was, the number was retired long enough. Let's bring it back. But like,
first retired number, first ever unretired number. Oye, bro, que falta respeto, bro. What a disrespectful act. And yeah, they said they went to the family to ask for permission. What are they going to tell you? What are they going to tell you?
Yeah, they're not going to say, no, we don't want to.
No, don't. Have respect. Don't even ask that question. Bro, that's crossing a line. And to me, it's a line they made. Sure, you can erase the line if you're the one that made it, but that's so disrespectful to the family. And to me, sure, Malik Neighbors might be great one day, but my guy, he's a rookie right now. He hasn't earned it.
18 seasons. He was enshrined in the class of 1976. His coaching record, 80-37-5. He's got 2 NFL titles. And they unretired the guy's number.
But let's give it to a guy who's going to catch 40 passes from Daniel Jones.
You don't think the number 1 will be retired from Malik Neighbors at some point down the road?
Imagine retiring the number twice.
Oh,
and then the Flaherty descendants being like, oh, it's retired again. Not for you.
That's unbelievable. I'm fascinated by this story, the fact that they would do that. Like, especially a team like the Giants that has such a rich history to go, you know what? We want to go back on our history. We're not into it. It blows me away.
It's for a rookie.
For a rookie?
That makes no sense, bro. I look at this and it's like, imagine I'm Luis Diaz the fourth. You know Cubans. If you find a number for a name for a boy, you stick with it down the line. That's how Cubans are. We're very lazy with boy names. Imagine if my parents had another son and he was that prototypical, went to the Army, graduated college, CEO and they're like, hey, Lou, your name is now Brandon. He's Lewis now. That's the guy I wanted. That's what that is.
So disrespectful.
They gave the number 1 the respect it deserved. The guy is a legend.
Yeah. Pro Football Hall of Famer.
Actually, no, I lie. That's them giving my name to a newborn son. It's like, hey, we're changing your name. I kind of like what this kid's got the goods.
This reminds me of King of the Hill.
Yes.
King of the Hill with Hank, and then Good Hank was the little baby that his father had years later because he wanted to try again. But the fact that they would just take away the history like this, and like I said, for a franchise that they've been around forever, they're one of the originals, like to say, you know what, no, we're good. It's fascinating to me that they would do that, especially, like you said, for a rookie. Just make him pick a different number.
Imagine,
check your WhatsApp, Will.
Imagine when Tua came out, that he won a national championship with the number 13. When he came to the Dolphins, there was no question. Imagine if he would have got there. There's no imagining. When he came from Alabama after winning a national championship, after being one of the most highly regarded quarterbacks in college football, he came here. There was no option of wearing number 13. There was no option because that's a retired number. That's not just a regular retired. That's Dan Marino, one of the all-time greats numbers. You just read the entire Wikipedia of Ray Flaherty. This guy is an all-time great.
Yeah.
And you don't do that. Whatever. I'm not John Mara. I don't have a daughter who's an actress in subpar movies. Sorry, that's not me. Sorry, I can't talk about it.
He's famous for the sneaker game, according to Ricardo. 1934 championship against the Bears. The field froze over. He suggested they play sneakers at halftime, and then they dominated 30-3. The Bears were undefeated at that time.
Ricardo
coming with the knowledge here.
He's got all the angles of this story, too.
Right?
I love it. He's the one that brought the story
That's
to
the
our
good thing
attention.
about Ricardo. Once he finds something that he's interested in, he's just deep diving into it.
Dude, thank you, man. Yeah, that's a producer, bro.
Right?
Hey, whoever we had last week fired. We got Ricardo now.
I think I produced it last week.
Fired!
One of the other things that came out this week was this NFL player survey.
Yeah.
Overrated, underrated. Josh Allen, most overrated, number 3 on that list. Tua
Tagovailoa. So the most overrated. And so there's no chance that he'd be on the other side of the underrated side, right?
But he was.
Of course!
Right? And the other thing that I find interesting, the Justin Herbert underrated discussion, all I hear from everybody is about how great Justin Herbert is and how good they are and blah, blah, blah. They have won nothing. Nothing. He hasn't won anything. I don't want to hear about Justin Herbert.
Tua's lost all the big games. Tua's never won a big game. Sure. You know who's never won a big game either and taken his team to less playoff berths? Justin Herbert.
Right?
And to me, the two most overrated quarterbacks are by far, and it's not even Josh Allen. I actually think he's a good quarterback. If he played for any other division in the league, I might be a fan. To me, it's Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert. The fact that they get all the love that they do, to me, it makes no sense. I watch the games, and as if that wasn't enough, the numbers are there. The numbers don't lie. You watch the games; they support what the numbers say. These are middle-of-the-road quarterbacks, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's hard to find a middle-of-the-road quarterback. Look at the Dolphins. It took us forever to find the king of middle-of-the-road quarterbacks, Ryan Tannehill.
It's going to be interesting, too, considering Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, both of them this year, they lost all their receivers.
Dude, it's so
Who
good.
are they playing with this year?
So good. They saw Pat Mahomes could win a Super Bowl like that, and they're like, hey, us, who's never done anything, let's try that.
Let's bring on a bunch of guys who we're going to let Stephon Diggs go or
Keenan Allen
and Mike Williams and all these guys in San Diego. It's just I'm interested to see. This will be the whole discussion. Can they perform without these guys? Is the overrated portion of this survey proven right as a result?
I'll tell you one quarterback that had a winning record with nobodies named Lynn Bowden Jr., Mac Hollins, Devontae Parker. I'll tell you, Myles Gaskin, who just got cut. Poor guy. Love him. Come back. Not really, but if you want to just visit, I'll give you tickets to a game, I guess. Was Tua Tagovailoa. He won with no one. Let's see it.
He got 4 votes in this most underrated quarterback. The top one, Brock Purdy. I don't feel like he's underrated anymore. I feel like everybody has come to the conclusion that this guy can play.
I think the league is with him now.
I think so too, right?
Especially the players. I feel like the players are fans of Purdy at this point. At this point, when he first came out, and it was the same thing that Tua was getting. Oh, it's the system. It's the system. But we saw what happened when he was out of the game, and then when he came back into the season after the injury. Yeah. Kid's got the goods.
Another thing that is happening this weekend, I want to bring this up. The hot dog eating competition is happening on Labor Day. Kobayashi, Joey Chestnut. Now, here's the thing.
Okay.
I love the hot dog eating contest. July 4th, I make a point to watch the hot dog eating contest. I'm like a lunatic about it. I love this thing. This one, it's not the same. It doesn't have the same vibe to me. It's not like the gluttony of America. That's what I love to celebrate on July 4th.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? And here, it's not the same thing. Like this matchup between these two guys should have happened 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's Zeke Elliott and Dalvin Cook being in the same backfield.
Exactly.
This sounded cool a few years ago, but now is Kobayashi still even eating?
Right? I don't know. They're going to do this on Netflix on Labor Day. I don't know. I mean,
I'll tell you.
The hype behind it, you don't hear, like, it's not. Everybody knows about the 4th of July hot dog eating contest, the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. But this thing, it's just like completely flown under the radar.
Bro, I'll tell you, I saw Joey Chestnut eat wings live and in person.
Really?
That man is not human. The way this man just shoves meat down his throat, it is it is a sight to be seen.
You know what else? Like, I love at these hot dog eating contests, the people who want to be in the front row. They're like, yes, I want to be right up front for all the spit and bits of food that go flying all over the place.
Disgusting.
It's like you go into a Gallagher show. You got to get that tarp on yourself to make sure you don't get any shrapnel.
I'm not called to this either. To me, it's like I'm not gonna watch it.
If they were doing this on the 4th of July, I'd pay for a pay-per-view. I would watch it. But
so for you, it's about the day of the year.
I think
that
it's the day. I think it's the holiday. I think it's celebrating America.
What if they would have done it on like Memorial Day?
No, it's not the same, man.
So there's no other Arbor Day.
Flag Day. No, man, it's like that's the 4th of July thing.
It is a 4th of July thing. No one. Labor Day is great for I guess getting that last beach weekend out of the way.
Yes.
And that's to me what I equate Labor Day for. That last real summer long weekend vacation thing. It's not, but it's not, to me, I don't equate it with grilling. Like 4th of July, you're grilling.
That's it.
You're grilling. You know where they could have done this?
Yes.
Father's Day. That's another day that I equate to grilling.
That would have been good.
But Labor Day, I don't see it.
Right. Yeah, like 4th of July, man, that's what this is about. So I was surprised that this has flown under the radar because when it happened, obviously Joey Chestnut got kicked out of the competition this year because he's working with a vegan company or something. And like they were like, no. We're not with you. So, and they announced that they're going to do this, and it was a big thing because they had this documentary that came out. I think it was a 30 for 30 a couple of years ago that came out about these guys and their rivalry, and it's just like I feel like they just missed the boat on this.
Yeah, remember when Mike Tyson was coming out like, oh, I'm going to fight one of the Paul brothers? It's as if he was fighting another old guy. To me, this is just like a Legends game where you're watching the All-Star game and it's like you keep the TV on and they show the rerun of the Legends softball game that I played before. That's, to me, what this feels like. It's like, all right. Also, I'm not as fat as I am. This is going to sound sacrilegious to all my fatties. I'm not into the eating contests. To me, I do it for the love of the game.
Yeah.
That's how I got to where I am.
The eating contests are weird, but like this is the one for me because like I don't know, there's something about the hot dog, and it's probably because it's been going on forever. You know, like that's just like the thing. But yeah, those eating contests, some of them are real weird. Hey, I ate 16 dozen hard-boiled eggs and you always 8 minutes.
You always get the alerts. You get the alerts too, and it's like I didn't need this, ESPN.
I'm
plenty,
good. Right?
I'm good.
That's Luis Diaz. I'm Will Althoff. We're here for Football Fridays until 6 o'clock. Coming up on the other side, we'll talk more about the Dolphins matchup with the Jaguars coming up Week 1. That is September 8th at Hard Rock Stadium. You are listening to Fox Sports 940. That's right. We are back here on Fox Sports 940, bringing you Football Fridays. I'm Will Althoff. That is Luis Diaz. I love the robot music.
Yeah, I was kind of jamming to it.
It's like really energizing, I feel like.
I remember taking some medications in college and listening to this kind of thing.
Feel like, oh my God, what is happening right now? A lot of stuff happening across the NFL this week. Big cuts as rosters got trimmed from 90 to 53 players on Tuesday, and some signings as well. This one, Brandon Ayuk finally gets the contract extension from the 49ers, $120 million for 4 years. And that's going to keep him with the team. But now there's discussion, maybe they'll move Deebo Samuel out because they signed Brandon Ayuk. But I think you got to keep both those guys, right? You want to keep that offense intact.
Is that the conversation they're having?
I heard somebody mention that, and I was like, why would they do that?
If they want to make a bad decision, but I guess, that's something I've noticed with this Shanahan tree. Mm-hmm. They are not too proud to put the system or to put any player above the system.
Yes.
And that's something I was super confusing when the Dolphins made their initial 53-man roster. I had so many. They had 4 receivers on, and they didn't even have a long snapper.
Right. And 2 of those receivers aren't 100%.
Yeah.
So it's like, wait, what?
But yeah, the Shanahan tree, they're not too proud, and I'm sure if with the way that they scout and they bring out the best in these players, if they move Deebo, they're going to get insane value in whatever they trade for him, and they're just going to flip that into another stud, and Deebo's going to ball wherever he goes, and it's going to be a win-win maybe. But yeah, get rid of Deebo. That's like the Dolphins saying, yeah, let's put Tyreek on the block.
So this is from CBS Sports. He's under contract, Deebo, for 2 more years. But this article doesn't expect him to play out the 3-year, $71.55 million extension that he signed. They could save over $9 million in cap space by trading him next year. So the idea is, all right, year before his contract wraps up, instead of having to pay him the mountain of cash that we're going to have to pay him, let's trade him, get a couple players or picks or whatever it might be, let the other team pay him, and see if we can move on from there. But, like, it's like here. You don't want to break up this group.
Nah, you can't.
Those guys just went to the Super Bowl. Like, why are you going to break up that group try and save a couple of bucks?
Especially for what would happen in the locker room, too.
Right.
You got to think about that dynamic. You get rid of one of the main guys. The locker room is not going to say it's going to turn on Shannon, but definitely probably on the front office. And that's something that you got to take into consideration. I want to talk about the Dolphins cuts because, like I touched on it, they had such a weird initial 53.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I know you're going to bring the long snapper back, but you've got 4 receivers. You've got all these linebackers. Like, everyone that made a 53-man roster projection was 1,000% wrong.
Right? I think Eric Ezekiel was one of those guys who everybody expected to remain on the team.
Yeah.
Obviously, he got back for the practice squad, but Blake Ferguson, like you mentioned, the long snapper, he comes back because they move. I can't remember who it was. They moved to IR, but they opened up that roster slot to bring him back. Nick Needham got let go, brought back for the practice squad. So I think there were some of these guys that they figured they're not going to be able to make our roster, but we're going to be able to bring them back for the practice squad and at least keep them around in that way.
I think what they did, because I was really paying attention, and I'm very smart. I was as if me paying attention does anything. No. But what I noticed was the Nick Needhams, the Blake Fergusons, and a couple of these other bigger names that they released. These are veterans that don't go through the waiver wire. And so in my head, they're like, hey, you're not going to be on our Instagram post tomorrow. I promise you, we're going to bring you right back.
Yeah.
Like Blake Ferguson, he wasn't worried. He acted the night before threw a party for the entire team where he posted like his grill had so much chicken, very healthy, on his grill because he was having a party. Like, you knew he was going to come back. You kind of hoped Nick Needham was going to come back. I knew Eazy-E was going to come back. I didn't see any teams poaching him off the waivers. The one that surprised me was Mike White. I really thought if we were going to keep 2 on the team, it was going to be White and let Skyler go through the waivers and bring him back. That's what I thought.
I think that Skyler has really built up a connection inside that locker room that Mike White hasn't been able to build up as much because Skyler's been here for the extra year. He's been here for the whole Mike White or the whole Mike McDaniel tenure. He and Tua have come up in this system together. So they've built that connection. You know, it feels like Mike White just happened to be a year behind.
Yeah.
You know, so Skyler was able to take those steps and learn the offense and really get a real grasp on it, whereas Mike just wasn't able to get there. And they said that Skyler just, in the locker room, like everybody loves that guy. And I think that was a big part of Mike McDaniel said that the presence that he brings to the locker room, how he's grasped everything, and that was one of the big reasons why they brought him back and kept him here, as opposed to Mike White.
Yeah. I don't make the decisions. I don't know. I can think about them and I can be confused by them. The one that I'm still losing sleep over is what's been the main talking point of a position of need has been the O-line. Mm-hmm. And we get rid of a guy that everyone that watches his team and analyzes his team presumed could very well be a starter or the first guy off the bench. We got rid of Jack Driscoll for a return guy.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I don't see it. There's, to me, so many people that were not playing at the level that Driscoll was. It's like, all right, if we're going to cut a lineman, cut one of them. But they cut Jack Driscoll, and again, I don't get paid the big bucks. I get paid the little bucks to talk about them once a week. I don't get paid the big bucks to make these decisions. But that one, to me, I could see Skyler. It can make sense to me.
Yeah.
Getting rid of Blake Ferguson for a day and Nick Needham for a day, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
This one doesn't.
I think that it's one of those things, too, where you see as the season goes on, all these players, man, because of the injuries, you hope to keep some of those players that have gone through the training camp with you, who have started to learn that system. And maybe they just need a little extra time to learn that system or the plays or whatever it might be before they're really ready to make the 53-man roster. So, like, guys like Eric Ezukama, who missed a lot of time last year because of injury, he played in the preseason, had a really good game in the second game, and it's like, okay, so he's showing that he's starting to get there. He's just not there yet. And you don't want to lose that guy because you can see the progression. You can see that he's building and he's getting there. But right now, he's just not ready to go. So it's one of those things where, yeah, bring him back, let him keep learning, and then maybe, obviously, because everybody gets hurt in the NFL, at some point, you may have to call on him.
Will, I know you love Eazy-E, but to me, if I got to give the ball to one guy, it's going to Tyreek. If I got to give it to someone else, it's Jalen. If I got to give it to someone else, it's one of the three running backs. Then maybe Jonnu.
Yeah.
To me, if he would have gotten picked up on waivers, like, I know there's a big faction. I think you're part of that faction of no, we let him go. For me, it's like, I'm glad he's here. He's one of those guys. He's like a Justin Herbert, where if you were creating a player, you create Eric Ezukama.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
But he's just, I haven't seen it all from him. And this guy's like Reed Sinnett. Remember when he came out in the preseason and balled? That's the way I see Eazy-E. He's a preseason demigod. He is the Maui of the preseason winded seas.
I think that we're going to see some fun football this season from these guys. One of these wide receivers that we haven't hit on yet, but we'll talk about coming up. Odell Beckham Jr.
Oh, pup. Our little puppy.
Starting on the PUP list this season. Interesting thing is the Dolphins knew that him being ready for week 1 could be questionable. We're going to talk about that coming up. On the other side, we've got some sound from head coach Mike McDaniel and GM Chris Greer talking about the cuts that got made this week and also what's going on with Odell Beckham Jr., who will start the season on the PUP list. We're going to hear from them and talk about it on the other side. Football Fridays, that's Luis Diaz. I'm Will Althoff. This is Fox Sports 940. Back here on Football Fridays, Fox Sports 940, Luis Diaz joining me. I'm Will Althoff, and we are taking you up till 6 o'clock. Talking all things football, and this week we are joined once again by our fantasy expert, one of the co-hosts of the Fantasy Fix is Brandon Kravitz. You can hear the Fantasy Fix beginning this coming Saturday. Well, next Saturday, I guess. That's not even true. It's Sunday. I should get my days right. It is September 8th is the premiere episode. You can hear it right here on Fox Sports 940. 10 to 11 is when you can hear the Fantasy Fix. And Brandon, thanks for joining us this afternoon. How many fantasy drafts have you gone through? Do you have any left on your board?
So I take part in a number of what's called best ball drafts in like July and August that are on Underdog Fantasy. And I don't really count those, but they are for some money. So I feel like I should throw that out there. As far as leagues that I followed throughout the course of the year, I'm in 3. Unfortunately, they have all come and gone. So I have a bit of a post-draft blues going on right now, and thankfully we've got college football to soak my tears in over the weekend.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Because you were done with your fantasy drafts, do you still go on sites like ESPN and run mock drafts just so you can take part?
Well, I think once you have the real thing, the mocks just don't hit like they used to. So, no, I don't. I might end up just throwing a couple bucks on another best ball draft just because.
Just so you can do it. That's amazing.
I feel pretty good with where I'm at right now. I think it's good to leave a little meat on the bone. I've definitely, because drafts are so readily available, especially now, you can hop in a league with anyone from anywhere. I've definitely experienced the draft fatigue in the past. I would rather be left wanting a little more than ever thinking I'm over drafting. So I try and keep it, even though I'm really into fantasy. Obviously, it's why we're having this conversation. It's why I'm on the Fantasy Fix. I still try and dial it in a little bit so that I don't sit back on Sunday and just want everyone to score touchdowns. I want to have guys I'm invested in and players that I'm not. So I still like playing the game that way, where there is sort of a scarcity of who I'm cheering for.
So I got a question. Brandon Ayuk signs the I don't want to say massive deal after all the things we've seen in Miami and these wide receivers, but it is a huge deal. It's, that 30 mil annual per year. That's not English, and I'm very sorry. $30 million a year. I was big in the movement of he's for sure going to Pittsburgh. He would have been the only option because, George Pickens is there. Yeah, George Pickens is – it doesn't matter. He would have been the best option for half, very mid quarterbacks. Is he better off fantasy-wise staying in San Francisco where the ball needs to be spread so thin, or are fantasy owners kind of wishing he went to Pittsburgh where he could have been that true number one?
Yeah, the problem is that he would have been a semi-true number one. I still think George Pickens is going to be a factor there. So he would have been more of a 1A than a 1B like he is in San Francisco. But sure. You mentioned it. It's Russell Wilson or it's Justin Fields. And I don't really want my fantasy wide receiver that I took in round 2 or round 3 being buoyed by those guys. So, no, I think this is the best case scenario. We saw last year what Brandon Ayuk's upside is. He's a 1,300-yard guy. He can get you double-digit touchdowns in a really good year. And Brock Purdy has shown that, whatever your opinions are on Brock Purdy, he knows how to operate that Shanahan system to perfection, and Ayuk is a big part of that. I like the devil you know rather than the devil you don't. So Brandon Ayuk, for me, while I was drafting, was off of my draft board at his price. Now he's somebody that I think for where he's getting drafted in that late round 2 to early round 4 range, absolutely comfortable taking a stab on him there if you need the wide receiver help. So he's somebody that I wasn't getting before, but if I was drafting now because he's still in San Francisco, I would feel comfortable drafting him. If you got a draft this weekend, I would say it's not a bad idea.
With one of those get you right drafts that you're going to be doing?
Exactly. I might just throw him on a team just because he's not on a roster yet.
Is there anybody, Brandon, that sticks out to you ADP-wise who is being selected way higher than you imagine they're actually going to produce this season?
Yeah, well, one of my concerns was Brandon Ayuk. I thought that people were getting a little bit aggressive there. I think for me, the name that I've been circling as far as that conversation goes all offseason has been Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm enamored with the talent, and I hate how much people love him because I just end up drafting none of him. I think he's being way overdrafted. We're still talking about a guy that has not played a single game in his NFL career. And while, yes, you can say, but look at all of these rookie wide receivers that have popped off over the years. And look back to last year. You had all these rookie wide receivers that did exceedingly well. All of that can be true. But doing well and returning early round 2 value are two completely different things. I think we look at Bijan Robinson as an example. Rookie running backs that are the focal point that are just oozing with talent, they can be productive in year 1. It's hard for them to return value of a first-round pick. The issue with Bijan last year wasn't him as a player. It was partly because of Arthur Smith and play calling. But if you look at his stats, he did really well. The problem is that he didn't do well enough to support where he got drafted. So liking a player and liking a player where they get picked, those are two completely different things. I'm still not the biggest Kyler Murray guy as a passer.
That was going to be my next question.
Scrambler. Yeah, he's an exciting scrambler when he's on the field, but he gets hurt all the time. He's not an elite passer of the football. He certainly hasn't mastered the playbook because that's not his top priority unless they throw it into Call of Duty. So he's just not a guy I'm willing to draft over guys that I know are elite at the position, like Deebo Samuel. You could throw Brandon Ayuk in there. I like Nico Collins better with him being C.J. Stroud's number 1 target. So I like Marvin Harrison Jr., but there's so many wide receivers I like more than him in fantasy.
Well, you bring up Bijan Robinson, and I remember last year I had this guy who was all in, and he's drafted Kyle Pitts every year since he was a rookie. And then last year he got the 2 Falcons. He got Bijan, and he got Kyle Pitts, and he got last place. So my question is simple, and it's for my friend in my fantasy league. Is this the year Kyle Pitts lives up to the hype fantasy-wise?
No. I do not think so.
Yes!
And I do think the Falcons are gonna take a tick up. they have a new head coach. They have a new offensive system. Raheem Morris isn't necessarily going to help with the offensive side of the ball, but he's hired the right people. Arthur Smith was clearly dragging this offense down, and more than anything else, Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ridder, Taylor Heineke, all of these guys are bottom 3 quarterbacks in any given week that they're starting in the NFL. And so you had Drake London and Kyle Pitts that had the in terms of accuracy rate from their quarterback, they were bottom of the barrel across the NFL. The difference is Drake London still looked like a competent wide receiver, and Kyle Pitts didn't. So why is it that one guy was still at least looked decent on the football field and the other didn't? I think too many people are looking at the addition of Kirk Cousins and just assuming that this unlocks Kyle Pitts. I was a huge fan of him coming out of Florida, but he has not been a good NFL player, and it starts with Kyle Pitts. I'm just not fully convinced that he can be a productive player. He was outplayed last year significantly by Jonnu Smith, and those two had the exact same quarterback. Yeah. So I'm out on Kyle Pitts as a talent.
Final question for Brandon Kravitz, co-host of the Fantasy Fix. You can hear it right here on Fox Sports 940, beginning 10 a.m. on September 18th is the premiere episode for Week 1 of the NFL season. Brandon, team stacking, are you a fan of doing so, or do you move away from that to try and keep your lineup a little more
independent of each other?
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. I love this. I feel like teams this has to be one of the most common questions in all of fantasy land. So many people love doing this, and I've never quite been able to put my finger on why. I think it's fun when you trip into it by accident, but you got to remember that at the end of the day, the goal isn't to beat the entire league every single week. The goal is to just beat the person that you're going up against. So you want a nice, steady performance. You don't have to have the high score every week. When you're stacking players, the only time that that's truly a cheat code advantage is when you have the quarterback and wide receiver that are setting records collectively. Like if you had Tom Brady and Randy Moss back in 2007, you did quite well for yourself. But I would also remind people that if you had Terrell Owens that year and Tom Brady was your quarterback, you still did quite well for yourself. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if your players are on the same team. You want players that are scoring the most points. If they happen to play on the same roster and wear the same uniform, sure, it's fun when one tosses a touchdown to the other and you look at your phone and you've doubled up on fantasy points. But I think it all evens out in the wash. At the end of the day, you just want players that you think are the best. So I wouldn't overvalue the stack, but it's cool when you trip into it. That's usually my answer.
All right, this one's just for me, so everyone in my fantasy league can tune out. I got the 7th pick on Sunday. It's such a weird because it's not the top end of the league, but it's still 7. You know, but who am I getting with the 7th pick? It's such a weird number. Right?
Are we talking 12? Are we talking 12 teams or 10 teams?
10, brother. 10.
Just to wrap my head around. 10. Okay, that's good. I think you can lean a little bit more towards running back if those top guys are there. Obviously McCaffrey, but he won't be there at 7. I would target Bijan Robinson or Breece Hall in that spot. If they're not there, I might even take a stab at Jonathan Taylor or Jahmyr Gibbs and just lock up that running back because the wide receivers that are going to come back to you are going to be great. And I'm not sure that there's that big of a difference between the receivers you get at 7 and the guys that will come right back to you about 4 picks later. So I would target those running backs first and just get that out of the way because the running back position thins out really quick this year. So in a 12-team league, I think you want to be a little bit more cautious about just targeting position. But in a 10-team league, I'm much more cognizant of wanting every single position that I have to be elite and leave no holes, quarterback through tight end.
I don't know if I'll get a jet, but yeah, the other guys sound great.
That's true.
Brandon Kravitz.
Or take a receiver, then get Devon Achane in the second round.
There you go. Yes.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Brandon Kravitz, co-host of the Fantasy Fix. You can hear it right here, Fox Sports 940, September 8th, their first episode this season, 10 a.m. You can hear it right here. Brandon, thanks as always for joining us. We'll talk to you again next week.
I look forward to it, guys.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you,
Bye, guys.
I'm Will Althoff, that's Luis Diaz, and we're going to be back on the other side here on Fox Sports 940. It is Football Fridays here on Fox Sports 940. Thanks for joining us. I'm Will Althoff. That's Luis Diaz. If you want to get in touch with us, 866-8010-940, or you can hit us up in the iHeartRadio app. You can hit that talkback feature, the little microphone. You can leave us like a 30-second voicemail if you want to chime in on what we're talking about. We just heard from Brandon Kravitz and the Fantasy Fix. And a lot of interesting news in there about the team stacking. I feel like he mentioned, that's just one of those things that people have always discussed. Like, do you double up? But you mentioned last year on your 2 championship teams, you doubled up and it worked out.
When you win 2 leagues with Tua and Tyreek in both of them, the team stacking kind of goes in your favor.
It works.
It is what he said. When you've got the record-setting people, go with them. And Tua didn't set any records, but Tyreek nearly did. And you throw in Raheem Mostert. I think I did have all 3. I think I had Raheem, Tua, and Tyreek. And one of them I did, I know. The other one I didn't, but in one of them I did. And it was just like, yeah, I'll have the entire Dolphins offense. I don't mind.
They were scoring points for a long time.
Oh, it was very good.
Yeah.
Business was nice.
So Brandon Kravitz, the Fantasy Fix, he joins us every week here on Fox Sports 940 for Football Fridays. Always appreciate that. Some interesting news that came out today. Outside of the Mike McDaniel stuff, we'll talk about that. But I saw that Hollywood Brown is going to miss the season opener for the Chiefs. So I don't like to see a guy injured, but I do like seeing one of the better playmakers on a team have to sit the game out, in the sense that it makes them a little more vulnerable in that game coming up. I imagine when they got him this offseason that was going to be one of the focal points of their offense. His preseason shoulder injury puts that sort of in flux. But we're talking about Patrick Mahomes. He's one of these guys, he can do it with anybody, right?
He doesn't need anyone, and I hate that about him.
Yeah.
I hate him. But yeah, he doesn't need, we saw it last year, man. He doesn't need anyone. As a matter of fact, there's some people that he could have been better off without.
Right?
Marquez Valdez-Scantling, 3 names, 0 hands. How is that possible?
Look at Kadarius Toney. He makes a big play in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, whatever. But like outside of that, he struggled with the Giants. He struggled with the Chiefs, and they were like, you know what? Yeah, we appreciate what you did in the Super Bowl, but we don't need you.
We're good.
We'll let you go.
Appreciate you, bud.
Thanks for coming. So we're going to see how they handle that going into the season. They host Baltimore in that first game of the season Thursday night. Man, less than a week away from real football. It's just amazing.
Isn't it nice? Isn't it nice? And we've got the big slate this weekend, UF.
Georgia's hosting Clemson. Penn State is playing West Virginia. I just mentioned Penn State because I went there. But also, you got FSU on Monday night against Boston College.
None of the cakewalks.
No, yeah, it's so weird, right?
None of the cakewalks to open up the season. We've got them in week 2 and 3, but none of them to really. The whole premise of the movie, The Longest Yard, was you need that easy win, the tune-up game, to get ready for the season. And and UF decide, you know what, let's go up against upper echelon. Clemson, Georgia. I mean, Clemson ain't what it used to be. Let's be
still
real.
Ranked 14th. You know what I mean? They're still a top 25 team. And that's the thing. You lose one of these games. You look at what happened with FSU last week. You lose one of these games, the season's basically done. That's it.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy that their season's over already. I can't deal with the Knowles fans. I don't get it. Did you really not get into any better schools? You could have gone to Dade and gotten better, had more. It's awful. The people that go to Florida State clearly never went on a college tour to Tallahassee. That place is a dump.
I don't know that I've ever been to Tallahassee, actually.
And you're better for it.
So FSU's playing Monday night. They're going to host BC, coming off that loss to Georgia Tech, a conference game. It's just what do you do now? What do you do?
You talk about Georgia Tech was probably a layup for them.
You would think, right?
And they lose to Georgia Tech. Now I would have thought BC is a layup for them.
Now you wonder.
Man, they didn't get into the playoffs last year after being undefeated, and they just gave up on football.
That was that, man. They just I mean, you got to think that's it. You lose a game, especially early in the season, it's tough to make up that ground because you know there's going to be undefeated teams at the end of the year, and you're not getting past any of them.
You got the 12-team playoff, and that's going to open up chances.
True.
But nothing to me will make life happier. Even if the Canes or somehow if my Golden Panthers don't get into the playoffs, if some miracle of God they don't get in, because they're a shoo-in as of right now. But if they don't,
betting favorite, yes.
As long as FSU doesn't get into the playoffs, I'm so happy. And you know what's crazy? Last year I was like, oh man, they got kind of robbed. But I said that to myself, and what I said to everyone else was, didn't deserve it.
They did get robbed, but their quarterback, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but when he went down, that was it for them.
And they got dog walked.
And they got
in the bowl
killed.
So. In the bowl, who cares? It's FSU. I don't care. I care about Saturday, UF. You can listen to the UF broadcast on this station, so I will watch my words very carefully, but I am hoping that the broadcast sounds very sad.
I just read that they haven't lost a home opener, have the Gators, since 1989. That's a long time ago.
Hey, and the Dolphins haven't won a playoff game in 24 years. You know what this year's all about?
It's a big year.
Breaking streaks. Are we going? We're not. Usually, you love to see streakers in sporting events. You love to see them, especially when it's not that cold out and you get a nice view of things. But this isn't. I don't want any streaks. This is a year we end all streaking. That's what we're gonna see.
As Lewis mentioned, we do carry that game tomorrow. UF hosting the Hurricanes. Coverage here on Fox Sports 940 begins at 12:30. A couple of guys that you hear for the Dolphins pre- and post-game show, Seth Levitt and O.J. McDuffie. They are known as the Fish Tank. They've got a great podcast, which you can hear on the iHeartRadio app. They've also got a great documentary that they've been working on, which is going to get released next week on Tuesday, 7 o'clock on the Miami Dolphins YouTube channel. It is called Fish Tank Iconic, and it follows the comeback of Dan Marino from an Achilles injury in 1993 in the first game back there in 1994, hosting the Patriots here at what was then Joe Robbie Stadium. Those guys are going to join us on the other side to talk about that documentary. Coming up here, that is Luis Diaz. I am Will Althoff. This is Football Fridays on Fox Sports 940. We're back here on Football Fridays. Will Althoff and Luis Diaz taking you up till 6 o'clock talking all things football. And today we are joined by a couple of special guests. You know these guys better as the Fish Tank. We've got O.J. McDuffie and Seth Levitt, and they have got quite an amazing little documentary. I shouldn't even say little because it's such a big production from what I've seen.
I was loving amazing. And then
right? But they're doing a documentary about the 30th anniversary of Dan Marino's comeback from his Achilles injury in 1993, that first game back in 1994. And from what I've seen, it is quite the project you guys are putting together. Talking to a lot of people about this, including Dan and a number of other players. OJ, you were there. Seth, how did you guys decide to move and do such a big project like this?
Yeah, I'm kind of questioning that decision at this point. No, we're pretty pumped by just to share this story. It is indeed, and thank you, Louis, it's iconic.
Yeah.
It is an iconic moment in team history and in Dan's history. I love 30 for 30. I love sports documentaries. I know Juice loves anything sports. If I think there were two people outside playing Frisbee, and he was, so.
They don't know how to throw them, man. They definitely don't know how to catch them.
They don't realize how important the wrist is to Frisbee. You don't know. So, rookies.
So he's all in. He's coaching them up. Somehow he's good at everything that he does. But no, we love sport, and boy, is there anything that we love more than our Miami Dolphins. This is a rich history that this team has. And so the late, great Jason Jenkins challenged us a couple of years ago. Hey, I love everything you do. We're going to continue to do it. But how can you evolve? How can you guys grow? We know there's so much more there in the tank, so to speak. And what could you do next? I came up with a couple different ideas, and we both really loved this one. And it was to do a 30 for 30 style documentary on iconic moments in team history. And I didn't want to go to the easy go-tos. 72 Dolphins,
too easy.
Nothing better than perfect, but too easy, right, Juice? And then 85 Bears. A lot of people go to that one. But this game, to me, there were games that meant more to the Dolphins' season than this game. But I think it was Dan Marino's finest performance. And when you think of all of the buildup that there was before this game, this was the one.
So you kind of teased it. Does this mean that this is not going to be the last documentary-style project you guys work on?
What a great question.
Hey, that's the boss. So
He's
you
looking at me. So I am not the boss. We would love to do more. We actually there's games that we've targeted. We would love to do more, but I think we got to get through this one. We have to prove that there's an audience for it, right? And I think there is. So far, the reaction has been spectacular. The fact you guys let us in the building here was great, and it's not even a Sunday, so we appreciate it.
Always welcome, fellas.
The air is on. Everything is nice.
The air is on.
Hold on, the boss is listening. Guys, quiet down. You're going to shut down the show.
We don't need that. We definitely don't need that. But no, I mean, we would love to do more. There are so many stories to tell. And we're talking to Travis Wingfield about this. The great thing about being a Miami Dolphins fan is you never know, and it's so cool, the season's about to start, you never know when you're going to walk in that stadium and you're going to leave with a memory that's going to last for the rest of your life. Right. You never know when that's going to happen.
It's kind of like having kids where you want the first one. The first one sounds amazing. And then you have the first one, you're like, I don't know if I'm going to have anymore. I feel like that's what I got from the documentary. It's like,
I'm not the
doing this one's
decision-maker.
great. We love to
finish
on a high note, right?
Yeah. I guess to ride on that analogy there, I'm not the decision maker, right? There's somebody else that's going to ultimately make that decision.
There's a wife that's got to deal with
pretty
everything.
much.
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
There you go. The Fish Tank Iconic, The Comeback. It premieres Tuesday, September 3rd, 7 o'clock on the Miami Dolphins YouTube channel. Seth Levitt, O.J. McDuffie, they are the Fish Tank, and they are putting this documentary together. And, Juice, I've got you. In that game, 1 catch, 21 yards.
Watch yourself.
3 kick returns for 69 yards, and a punt return for 8 yards.
All right.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, the punt return is the problem. But go ahead, Will. I got something to say about that.
I think he's done.
I just want to know, Juice, because you were there. You were in your second year, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Correct. That's correct.
The vibe there for this game, everybody anticipating Dan's comeback. What was it like just being in that?
Yeah, it was pretty incredible, man. I talk about it a lot because, the fact that the Miami Dolphins were in the AFC Championship game in 1992, and they were a really good team, great defense, young defense at that point. They just had Troy Vincent and Marco Coleman to that team, and so they were really good. So coming in '93, we really thought that was going to be the team that could really get them over the hump. And for me, you lose Mark Duper, Mark Clayton, but you had Irvin Fryer, myself, Mark Ingram, Terry Kirby. We had all these guys that we brought in to enhance this offense that was already pretty good the year before, but, we need to get over the hump, and I thought that was the team we had. And for Danny to get hurt, in that Cleveland game, early in the season, it was tough. And we still played well, and then kind of at the end we kind of fizzled because, Dan Marino's a guy that kind of gets you over gets you through that last month. It's really Marino time. And we didn't have that Marino time. Coming back the next season, we didn't know what to expect. You expect so much out of Dan Marino, and you get there. I got there as a rookie in '93, and then you get there in '94. You're like, all right, well, we'll see if Danny's still Danny. Tough offseason, tough rehab. I think he had an extra surgery or 2 to try to fix the thing, and the preseason wasn't very good. But man, to be out there in that game, Will and Lewis, it was for one, it was a disastrous field. The field was absolutely terrible.
Really?
That's why I wanted to tell you about the one catch you tried to clown me on just now.
No, I'm just
that's a 20-yard game.
It was a nice game, though, right?
OJ was
game,
there.
right?
Juice was
Nice
there.
game.
He played, man. That's a big deal.
He didn't affect the game at all, but he played.
Catch average is nuts.
Right. I wish I could have stayed right there with it. But but the one punt return, I got hurt in that game because of the mud. And so that was one thing that we were worried about more than anything, footing and everything. So I got hurt at that point in the game. But Danny, being out there in that mud was stellar, man. He loved it. I mean, he really took on the challenge out there. And obviously the results are what they are, but he was so pumped, man. Just to see him out there, it was impressive.
You guys are here for the Fish Tank Iconic, big documentary that's coming out. But for those of us that are just learning about your podcast, which is people that live under rocks, especially if you're a Dolphins fan, you guys have shared so many great stories from so many Dolphins players. Is this your favorite story that you've shared? And if not, what is a story that you've heard that you might, if the wife approves, deserves another iconic style documentary?
You're looking at me, huh?
Yeah.
I'm looking at
Well, so favorite stories typically are things we probably can't talk about on terrestrial radio. Like Kim Bocamper tells a Bob Kuchenberg story that is one of the greatest stories that has ever been told on the Fish Tank. And there's so many, we're 180 something shows now.
I think we're
at this
close
point.
to 200, aren't we?
I
saw 199 in there at one point. So this could be iconic. Could be 200 for.
Could we time that up any better? That would be really cool.
That's awesome.
But as far as iconic moments, iconic games, mean, there's the one that that I would love to do next, if we did it, would be the game in 2001 against the Raiders, the first game back post September 11th. The entire country shut down for obvious reasons, but then the country galvanized together, and sport was such an important part of that. And so that storyline is incredible. The Dolphins are being led by a quarterback from New York at that time, and he ends up having that hero moment where he dives across the goal line and ends up on the cover of Sports Illustrated pumping his fist. And so there's unbelievable stories there, but there's just so many of them. This team has a rich history.
Yeah.
In the recovery process for Dan in 1993 has to be so much different than, say, what Aaron Rodgers did last year. So,
he didn't do any ayahuasca, from what I.
That's what
I didn't see it in the teaser trailer, but maybe it's in the bonus features. But I don't think he did any ayahuasca.
I think you're right.
Oh, okay, all right, sorry.
I think you're right.
But to come back, it was such a different injury 30 years ago to come back from, and that's such a big deal for him to come back. And reading about how he had an atrophied calf because he hasn't been able to rehab it and build back up the strength in that leg, and it's just such a different time, and to be able to come back and have such a huge game just proved this is Dan the man. This is the guy.
Yeah, and I think Seth has said it best that this is a decade. This is Dan's 10th or 11th year in the league.
Right.
And so he had already had some other problems that he was dealing with.
Right.
And the fact that he had that on top of it, it took Danny like 2 hours to get dressed with so many braces and, and sleeves and stuff that he had to put on. And then you have to add this injury on as well. And so, a lot has changed. I think a lot has been learned from Danny's injury. We all feel the same way. I feel like a lot has learned from my foot injury, and guys in medicine and technology, everything changes. And I think Danny's injury has helped a lot of other people out. And I think that no matter what, it's an injury that guys can come back from and recover from. We've seen it. Now we'll see how Aaron Rodgers recovers, and we'll see how Jalen Phillips recovers.
Right.
We got some guys that have had these injuries. We'll see how they recover now.
Jalen looks great.
Hoping that guy in New York doesn't recover that well.
No, I hope it's bad.
I mean, I don't want him to walk. I want him to walk and be a human, but I don't want him to.
You're okay if he stinks up the joint and they go 2-15. Yeah, I hear you there. But and I'm glad you asked about it, because this isn't just telling a story, or if we ask the question in a normal Fish Tank episode and you get an answer and you talk about it for a few minutes, but we did a real deep dive into this game and everything surrounding it. So the injury is kind of a character in the story, right? The field that OJ talked about was a character in the story. The shoe that Danny had to wear, and all of these things are discussed in this documentary. And we talked to Tony Egos, who was the equipment manager at the time. He talks about having to use a screwdriver to get mud out of Danny's cleats in between every series. Wow. Talked to Harvey Green, who was my old boss and the PR director at the time. We talked to Ralph Stringer, Dan's business manager, he said, hey, Danny still can't do, he can't stand up on that. He can't do a toe raise on that foot because it never healed the way that you would hope that it would. But he had to find other ways to do it, and 473 yards and 5 touchdowns later,
did all right.
He figured it out.
Right?
He figured it out.
I mean, I guess. That's nothing like one catch for 21 yards, in my opinion. But
wow.
Well, I contribute some.
Hey, a little bit.
That's
450 yards without juice.
The Fish Tank Iconic, the comeback, it premieres Tuesday, September 3rd. That is next Tuesday, 7 o'clock on the Dolphins YouTube channel. I did want to ask, now I don't want you guys to spoil anything, but I imagine there are things
the
that
Dolphins
you learned.
won the game.
They won, yes. All right, fins up. I imagine there are things that you guys learned doing this that you were unaware of, even OJ playing with Dan.
Yeah. I tell you, just hearing all the other guys, the other interviews, like Seth talked about. I mean, we've got equipment managers, we got media guys, we've got reporters, we got former players, and all their different perspectives are great about it.
Yes.
Because you just never know how they viewed everything and what their role was in this whole thing. I wish we could have interviewed the field. You know what I mean? The field should have been interviewed as well, and it didn't want to.
I should have thought of that.
It didn't act right.
Why'd you suck?
Next one. Next one.
But
the dirt is
really
gone,
good,
though.
Yeah.
That infield dirt is
Thank
gone
goodness.
now.
Thank goodness. But definitely some really good perspectives on the whole thing. And, from mine to TK's, Terry Kirby was incredible. It was a lot of fun just hearing what they had to say because, every time we get on the fish tank, man, we get a wild moment. We get all these moments that, wow, I didn't know that. But then, so you hear these guys talk, and now we understand how they felt coming back and how they felt about the game.
Yeah, and we've gotten this far, Juice, and we haven't even mentioned Irving Fryar.
Correct.
I mean, Dan threw for all those yards and those touchdowns. Irving Fryar had 5 catches for 200-plus yards and 3 of those touchdowns.
Yeah.
And he did it all in the second half.
Yeah.
And Irv, you want to talk about a great storyteller. So it was okay?
It's not 1 for 21.
It wasn't.
It's not 69 return yards.
They're never coming back.
It's
Come
not
on.
69 return
Come
yards.
on.
Nice. He could have got 7, but he was like, nah,
Yeah.
I want the 69.
That's it. Leave it right there.
So-
Leave it right there.
Yeah, so as I was saying, Irving Fryar, the Reverend Irving Fryar, speechless here. This is great.
Yeah.
Loving Football Fridays. But Irv was incredible that day. He was incredible in this. You talk about learning things that are new. The conversation that he had with Danny, the moment that he had, him talking about what the primary receivers on that route did and what they should have done and didn't do when the ball went to him in 4th and 5. It was just, there were so many things that we either heard for the first time or heard it and saw it through a different lens. And that's what we're trying to accomplish.
So awesome. The Fish Tank Iconic, the comeback story of Dan Marino's comeback from an Achilles injury, 1994, that first game of the season versus the Patriots. It premieres Tuesday night, 7 o'clock on the Dolphins YouTube channel, and it was put together by the Fish Tank. Seth Levitt and O.J. McDuffie, they are here joining us. Tell everybody where they can catch your podcast and follow you on socials.
I mean, the free iHeartRadio app.
That's
for
right.
sure.
There
You
it
definitely,
is. I love
you
the
definitely
plug.
can find it there.
Perfect.
But anywhere that you're doing your streaming, and we're at the Fish Tank 81 on all of our social channels. I left out one guy, and I better mention him because as much as OJ and I are enjoying all of this, Chris Clark was the editor, and he co-wrote and directed this with me. And this thing doesn't happen without Chris Clark,
Right.
so I need to
That's right.
shout him out.
Absolutely.
And Will, you know it. Now we get to hear your voice all the time, but can you imagine what a disaster our post-game radio show would really be if Will wasn't working all that magic behind the board
right.
on those days? So I think, you guys who are doing those things, doing that work, it gives us an opportunity to tell the story we want to tell. We have to shine a light on those guys.
Okay.
Comes together in the end.
And you guys really do get the best.
I know.
And so, check them out, Fish Tank Podcast, and anywhere you find podcasts, including the IR Radio app, signs our checks, whatever.
Really looking forward to
This
it.
guy's so corporate, man.
I know, right? Good. Keep it
Hey,
going.
Will, we will be live tweeting during the episode as well.
Oh,
Tuesday
awesome.
night, so
Join us.
Very
join us.
cool.
You guys
So
get on
everybody
it,
can
chop it up
follow
with us.
along, make comments, and discuss it with these guys. That's awesome stuff. The Fish Tank Iconic, the comeback, coming your way Tuesday night. Lewis and I are going to be back on the other side. Seth, OJ, thanks for coming in today, guys.
Appreciate you guys having us.
This is Football Fridays on Fox Sports 940. Football Fridays, Fox Sports 940. Once again, music courtesy of Dina Lang. How amazing.
This is like what Austin Powers denied. This is like, hey, here's some ideas for your new spy movie, and Mike Myers was like, not this one.
Right? I love it. Just randomly found it in the system, and I was like, I'm going to start playing these. Luis Diaz, Will Althoff here. Football Fridays, Fox Sports 940. And this is the...
You got to say it because you say it amazingly. Let it rip.
You can go.
Let it
you
rip.
can go. We're good, Cardo. It's the Walter Mercadolphin segment.
Brother, that's the best any of us have ever said it.
No, maybe the best I've said it.
Walter, because you usually put on the twang.
It's so bad.
Walter Mercadolphins. We all know who Walter Mercado is, one of the
Yes.
greatest sorcerers in Miami history. Future tellers, predictors,
There you go.
future makers. But today and every week on this show, we have Walter Mercadolphins. The Dolphins
so much
version
better.
of Walter Mercado.
So much better.
And I think it's only appropriate if our Walter Mercadolphins, with the season coming up, no games this week, time to analyze the entire season. So, William, I go to you first. Go
Okay.
to channel your Walter Mercadolphins.
I have got. No, that didn't sound right at all. I can't even try. Like I'm so bad at it. Okay, so
Week 1. You want to go week by week, or do you
no,
want to
I'm just going to give you the overall record.
Oh,
I think overall, the Dolphins finish 11-6.
okay.
I think they're going to start the season strong like they did last year, but I think they're going to have some struggles in the middle. Not even at the end of the season.
Not that gauntlet at the end.
No, I think the end of the season they're going to do okay. I think in the middle there's a couple of games that throw me off.
Like what? Tell me, William. Tell me what is turned you off.
I don't like coming out of the bye that they have to travel to Indianapolis.
Yeah, but Indianapolis ain't that the same time zone?
Yeah, but I still don't like.
Deal.
I think it's one of those games. It's one of those trap games.
Season joy.
You got the time off.
Of course.
You can really prepare for the game. You go on the road.
Claro.
I think this is. I think this is after they start the season undefeated. I think they go into the bye winning all their games.
That's what I'm talking about, Will!
But that first one coming out, I think that's going to be their first loss of the season right there. That game, that trips me up. I don't like that one.
Okay. What is your next loss? Because you have us 11-6, right?
At Buffalo.
At Buffalo. Understandable. I don't like it, but it's understandable. Let me hear another one.
One right after that, too.
No!
In L.A. So here's the reasoning for this.
Come on!
They don't play well in prime time, man. That's an 8:15 game on a Monday night, and they don't play well in prime time. And back-to-back games on the road there, I think it's going to be tough.
Okay, that's crazy, but okay. What else did you have for me, William?
You want the next loss?
What's a game you want to talk about? I'm only picking on the losses. What's a game you want to highlight? Maybe a game.
Well, what do you think about that Rams game? Do you think they got that one?
I got that. I said W.
That's a W?
That's a double Jew. Not just one U. That's twice the juice, same price. Double Jew.
So where's your first loss?
My first loss is at Buffalo. So I have us going 7-0. It's the Dolphins are going to home versus the Jags, win. Bills, win. At Seahawks, win. Titans, win because with anger.
Oh, that's the revenge game. The revenge game there.
If we're going to put up 70 on one team,
yes,
it's the Titans.
Please make it the Titans.
At New England, you mean IMG Academy's third string team? That's an easy win. Into the bye. Somehow we get a win. No, I'm kidding. At Indianapolis, I don't believe in Anthony Richardson. I don't believe in him. Easy win. Home versus the Cardinals, win. At Bills, I'll split out of
split
respect.
The series. There you go.
Es un respect.
Yeah.
Split the series. Then I got us demolishing the Rams, demolishing the Raiders, demolishing the Pats. And the only reason I have us losing on Thanksgiving is the same reason I got the Bills losing us. You got to travel on a Thursday game. It's not even Thursday night. It's Thursday afternoon.
Yeah.
So that's 5 hours of rest you're missing out on. Short week, traveling. It's nothing that the Packers are better at than us at. It's the short week.
I got that as another L as well.
And then home versus the Jets, easy dub.
Win.
At the Texans.
Win.
Easy dub.
Win.
That's an easy W.
Yeah, they're going to be out by then. They're going to be out.
Houston, that's an easy win. Home versus the 49ers. Easy win.
Really?
Easy win for me.
No way.
I have that L?
I've got that as an L. But to say it's going to be an easy win?
No, senor. It's not easy. It's not easy.
I think that's going to be a tough game, but I will love it because of the chess match between Shanahan and McDaniel. That's going to be a fun game.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
Yeah.
And I trust our defense. Anthony Weaver, who does he have on defense? What are you looking at me for?
I don't know. I think it's going to be a tough game.
So
I got that as an L.
I have that as a double juice. Week 17 at Browns. I have us currently sitting at 13-2. I assume number 1 seed already locked up. I have that as an L. Let the guy who loves sports massages.
Nah, I got that as a win.
I like that more.
The Browns, they're overrated. I don't think they're as good. Look, Deshaun Watson
sucks.
He stinks.
Awful.
He stinks. They gave him so much money to play so poorly. They're gonna lose, and the Dolphins are gonna pick up the win there. The final game of the season, I got a loss.
Are you kidding me?
I got a loss in New York.
Out of pride? Out of Dolphins fandom? You have us losing in the MetLife takeover? Thank you, Ricky.
I'm trying to be objective here.
Ricardo, hit him with another one. Jesus Christ. What are you doing here? This is a Dolphins show.
I'm trying to be objective here. I think that game is going to be for the AFC East crown. And I think The Jets are going to win.
I don't even know. I know everything because I'm Walter Mercadol. I don't even know who I'm talking to anymore. That's crazy. I have that as an ECW. I have us 14-3. Like any red-blooded American Miami Dolphins fan should.
I got them 11-6. Lewis has them 14-3.
Number one seed. I have Tua winning MVP, 5,000 yards, 35 touchdowns.
I got OBJ, another prediction. I think I got him in for 10 games.
10?
Yeah.
He only has to miss 4.
Right.
Do you think he's not going to play the other?
I think he's got to get his timing and everything down with Tua.
I get that.
He's got to work back in, so I'll give him 10 games, and I think they're not going to rush him back. I think they're going to work it in, try to make sure he's good for the playoff run.
I get that. I think Tua, 5,000 yards passing.
That's great.
Jalen and Tyreek, each 13,000 yards.
13,000?
13,000! No, obviously not. It's English, and now I speak with the accent. My English gets worse. It's get worse. And then Jonnu Smith, 800 yards. It'll be cool if we can get 3,000 yarders, but I think that's a little.
Listen,
Walter, calm down a little bit.
It's going to be a fun season.
I think.
I hope I'm wrong.
Hey, if Tua plays all the fourth quarters that were demolishing teams, he blows past 5,000 yards, and he gets that because he ended with 29 touchdowns. He gets that 30th touchdown.
I agree.
I think he blows past 5K yards this year, 35 tuds. I think he's going to be MVP. MVP.
Put those letters out there.
Valuable players.
Walter Mercadolphins.
That's me. Hello. How are you?
Fantastic stuff. I am interested to see how this all turns out. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that you're right.
14-3. That's being conservative because we should be winning at the Packers and at the Browns. The only loss I really have us for is at the Bills. Out of respect, I respect them.
I can't say that I hope that mine is better than yours. I heard your record and your predictions stand.
Okay, fine.
But we're gonna have
16
to see.
16-1.
We'll have to
16-1.
We'll have to see how it goes. Lewis and I are going to be back to wrap up the show here on the other side, here on Fox Sports 940. It is GoldenEye. Right?
Are we back with GoldenEye, Ricardo?
Yeah. Yes.
Bond guy?
Bro, this was I know I played video games before this.
Oh, this is the game GoldenEye music?
I know it from the game. I don't even know if it was in the movie.
This is from the game.
The game.
The pause music.
N64, yeah.
Bro,
no,
you
this
get that
game's
golden
amazing.
Gun, dog. Oh man,
Proximity mines in the facility.
This is an all-time game. This goes on the Mount Rushmore. That's another afternoon sports show.
Yeah, but right,
this is
definitely
games,
one of the
bro.
games. I remember being in college when this came out, and we would just sit around in the dorm room just playing N64 and play GoldenEye on the 4-box just all day long.
This GoldenEye walked so like Call of Duty and Halo could run.
Yeah,
I love this game. Great job, Ricardo. Oh yes. Oh man, what a nice throwback. And it's so beautiful. It's so appropriate because the Dolphins are going to be killing everyone on their schedule, according to Walter Mercadolphins.
There it is.
Mercadolphins.
They're going to be 16-1 this year, according to Walter Mercadolphins.
He originally had them at 14-3, pero you know what has happened that they're 16-1 is more realistic. And I told you in the break, the only way we lose to the Jets, the only way we lose that last game is when we lock up that 1 seed and rest our starters.
That's it. Everybody's going to be resting, and they're going to give them a gimme.
Even then, Skylar Thompson, River Craycraft, Baxton Berrios,
right.
We're going to take it to them.
Now you're talking.
Come on, dog.
Dolphins agreed today to a 3-year extension with Mike McDaniel. They're going to keep him here in South Florida through the 2028 season. That's according to ESPN's Jeff Darling. They have just done...
Hey, even bigger than that. We signed 3 guys to our practice squad.
There you go. I lost the list. I had it up before. Oh, man, I completely lost it.
I shouldn't have brought it up either.
No, now I'm going to go find it. But Mike McDaniel, another one, McDaniel. Now I got Mercadolphins going on. Mike McDaniel got that extension, and they have just like made sure that this whole gang is not going anywhere. To
2028.
Waddle,
specifically.
Tyreek, now coach, and the 3 names that they signed at the practice squad. William Bradley King. He's a linebacker. They signed tackle Anderson Hardy and running back Deneric Prince.
We got an offensive lineman. Hey, everyone on Twitter, you guys
Stack
want
'em up.
an alignment so bad.
Stack them up.
We got one, baby.
You never know, man. They had a lot of injuries last year on that offensive line, so get as many guys in here as you can.
I'll take them. Hey, you're welcome here. You're welcome here. And also, Coach, I still have my highlight tape.
There you go.
And I played center, so I've got the center experience.
Sign him to the practice squad. Ooh,
Give me an opportunity on the practice squad.
How do we figure that out? How do we make that a thing so we get you next year on the practice squad or something?
Bro, I've been lifting.
Yeah.
I'm in
Get you
not the
out there
best
in
shape of my
training
life.
camp? That would be amazing.
I'm still tied for some of the worst shape in my life, but with how strong I've been in the gym, bro, dude, I'm down almost 40 pounds.
Awesome.
I got some strength to me. I can, and remember, I'm short, so I'll be the low man every time.
Richie Incognito was a short guy.
I'm a short king over here. I'm 5'11", so like pretty average.
Well, I'm a short guy then.
But, bro, I can snap the ball, get underneath Zach Sealer, and I'll give it my all.
There you go.
I'll give it 110% effort, Coach.
I want to see this happen. Why not? We got to make this happen.
I'll get my 40 time for you, Coach. I know that matters to you. You need speed on
We're
there.
going to get the file down, and we'll have all the details next week.
My wife says I'm one of the fastest guys she's ever seen.
Really?
That's what my wife said.
It's not good.
Oh, she hasn't never seen me run though.
Really?
That's such a layup.
So bad.
Such a
I know,
hacky
right?
joke.
So they've got him signed up through the 2028 season. They're making the practice squad signings after all the cuts this week, but we are less than a week away from actual football, and then the Dolphins play a week from Sunday.
Man, I'm excited, bro.
Home at Hard Rock Stadium.
And it's against everyone loves Trevor Lawrence, who everyone was talking about that big deal until it was yesterday's news with Tua and Jordan Love signing, but I liked him. I've grown to really dislike him. Maybe not dislike him, but understand that he is as overrated as they come.
When they put the stats next to Tua's, it was like
it's night and day.
Not even close.
Tua's performed better, and that's including Tua's first 2 years under the sabotage regime, where they tried to sabotage Tua. Not they, one guy.
The discussion about potential sabotage that was going on social media this week after the Brian Flores Tua stuff, it's just like, it's fascinating.
There's some stuff out there, brother.
I mean, is it like that just evil? It seems evil almost.
It's like a bully. It's what we said last week. It is like something a not good person would do. I don't know, but whatever. We're living in the here and now, baby.
Yeah,
I'm done with Flo.
That's exactly right.
Tua's
done with
brother.
Flo. We're done with Flo.
I'm so excited. I think this is a great opportunity, especially with Trevor Lawrence not being as good as everyone wants him to be, and I think everyone can agree. He's you know who he reminds me of? He's Ryan Tannehill. Every year, you could look it up, Bleacher Report, ESPN. Every year, every offseason was this the biggest growth this year is going to come from Ryan Tannehill. Everyone expected, the guy who's going to take the next step. That's the word they would always use.
Yes.
Who's taking the next step this year? It was always, in all those lists, was always Ryan Tannehill, and it was every year, and he just never took the next step. That's Trevor Lawrence.
I'm looking at Trevor Lawrence. He almost went backwards a little bit last year. In 2022, when he made the Pro Bowl, he threw for 4,100 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 8 picks. Last year, he followed that up with less yards passing, 4,016, less touchdowns, 21, and more interceptions, 14.
At least he got improvement somewhere.
Yeah. He went up in the wrong categories.
Ah, darn.
I just okay, he regressed. Yeah. Tua excelled last year. So, how is the discussion even happening?
One is a creative player, and the other one had a bad first impression.
It's just
on the league.
It's the hair, right?
It's got to be.
Trevor's hair.
It's so pretty.
It is such pretty hair.
And how is Pat Mahomes the spokesperson for Head and
50 seconds.
when you got Trevor Lawrence right down the road?
Right?
I don't know.
He's got a great head of hair, but he's going to lose that first game. September 8th.
We'll talk about that game, I guess, a lot next week.
We're back with GoldenEye. Man.
GoldenEye.
Now,
closing out the show.
Thank you, Lewis.
Thank you, Will.
It's another great edition of Football Friday. We want to thank Ricardo on the other side of the glass for helping us today. The guys from the Fish Tank joining us today. Brandon Kravitz from the Fantasy Fix. We're going to be back next Friday here for another edition of Football Fridays, getting you ready for Week 1 of the Dolphins, we'll actually have a game to talk about that night. The Brazil game, the night before they got that Chiefs game. So we'll have plenty to talk about. We hope that you will join us next Friday night at 3 o'clock for Football Fridays here on Fox Sports 940.